Update. My fiancé invited his ex-situationship to our wedding behind my back. Original post. I, 23 female, am getting married in January and just found out that my fiancé Mark, 25 male, invited his old situationship to our wedding without consulting me. For context, Mark and I met on a dating app 2 years ago, shortly after he had broken up with someone. To be honest, it's quite confusing what he and Tracy, 22 female, had. They met through a mutual friend and developed feelings for each other. Mark told me they never officially dated or slept together, but it was more than just friendship. To this day, he still keeps her love letters and gifts, and sometimes talks about her. After their breakup, they try to stay in contact as friends, but Tracy ghosted him once she found out we had started dating. From what I've seen on her social media, she's currently in a relationship, so I'm not worried about her trying to get back with my fiancé. They haven't been in contact for 2 years, but he still has her phone number and email. I discovered that Mark had invited her to our wedding when I double-checked our guest list and found her name. While I know Tracy isn't a threat to our relationship, the fact that Mark invited her without telling me makes me feel uneasy about the wedding. He insists he doesn't have any feelings for her, yet he went out of his way to send her an invitation. Maybe I'm just being insecure, but I'm starting to worry that he might not be completely over her. I don't want to lose him. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. He's probably not over her, especially since they were never a thing. For him, she might be the one that got away. If I were Opie, I would have a very serious talk with him. I don't get why he is never over her, especially if they were never a thing. From what Mark told me, he was the one who didn't want a relationship, since Tracy just started life. Tell him you don't want her there and that's final, and he better rescind it, or you'll have to rethink the marriage. Because starting a married life by going behind your back is a no-no. To be honest, you need to not stubbornly hold on to someone you can't trust. And you can't trust someone who does things behind your back. Her going to the wedding doesn't make me uncomfortable since I know she won't do anything. The problem is my fiancé and the fact he invited her to the wedding without notifying me. If Mark wanted her there, fine. But I just hate the fact he didn't told me beforehand, and it's making me think he lied about getting over her. Opie, doesn't it make you wonder if he's really over her? He keeps her love letters and the gifts, and he talks about her all the time. I think there's feelings that are still lingering. You better have a serious talk with him. He doesn't talk about her all the time, in some comments from time to time. I believe that is not right to erase her since Tracy was part of his story. But I did get the ick in the beginning when I saw her letters and gifts. First update. After reading the comments and talking with some friends, I finally accepted that Mark never really got over Tracy. At first, I was in denial, but I decided to meet with Tom, 24 male, Mark's best friend for years, to understand what really happened between them. Tom told me that Tracy and Mark met through mutual friends when she had just started university at 17, while Mark was already close to graduating. They stayed friends for 2 years, and during that time, romantic feelings began to develop. Mark was already working, and since Tracy was still in college, he wanted to wait until after her graduation to officially date her. Even though they weren't officially a couple, they exchanged love letters, gave each other gifts, and spent almost every holiday together. According to Tom, everyone in their friend group thought they would eventually get married because they were so sweet together, so their breakup came as a shock. Tracy was the one who ended things because their religious values didn't align. She wanted to save herself for marriage. They decided it would be better to go their separate ways, with the possibility of trying again in the future. After Mark and I started dating, Tracy realized there was no point in waiting for him any longer, so she began seeing other people and blocked him on everything except email, wanting a fresh start. It became clear to me that Mark was still holding on to hope that Tracy would come back to him someday, because of their previous talks about trying again after a few years. This realization hurt so much because I truly loved him. I haven't confronted him yet because I'm still shaken up, and I'm not sure if this marriage will happen. I will update again once I calm down and talk to him. Why have you not asked him why she was added to the invite list yet? There could be a reasonable explanation. I don't want to break down in front of him while asking. I need to cool off first. But you talked to his best friend? You know Tom is going to give him a heads up. I wanted to know the nature of their relationship first. Well, I think a positive is that Tom's version lines up with Mark's. I think you should ask Mark about it before Tom has an opportunity to give him a heads up and for him to make up some reason for the invite. Second update. It's been a while since my last update, and I'm here to announce that the wedding has been called off. My parents are taking care of canceling everything for me, and honestly, it feels like I'm a child again, with mom and dad solving my problems. After talking with Tom, I confronted Mark and laid everything out for him. At first, he was dismissive, almost as if he was trying to escape from the situation. Eventually, he admitted that he never loved anyone like he loved Tracy, because according to him, their relationship was pure and innocent. He said she reminded him that life isn't just about physical desire, and during his darkest times, she was like a ray of sunlight. Hearing the man I love confess how much he loved another woman was beyond hurtful. As he spoke, I broke down, bawling my eyes out. He had the audacity to tell me that he loves me, but it's a different kind of love. When I asked why he invited her to our wedding, he had no response. Why did he have to jeopardize our future for a past relationship? It hurt so much. Mark then admitted that he knew Tracy hadn't blocked him on email because he was the one who helped her get her first job, and there were professional reasons for keeping in touch. That's how he managed to send our wedding invitation, but he claimed he meant no harm. When I pressed him on this, he said he wanted Tracy to see us together and realize what she lost because he was hurt that she was pregnant and not married. The moment he mentioned her pregnancy, an alarm went off in my head. How did you know she was pregnant? I asked. You said she blocked you everywhere. I could see the panic in his eyes as he started to stutter. I demanded to see his phone and found more than 5 accounts he used to stalk Tracy. I felt sick to my stomach, and the urge to vomit was overwhelming. Ultimately, I decided to call off the engagement because I realized he was a creep. Mark threw himself on the floor, begging for forgiveness, saying that he loved me just in a different way compared to Tracy, and was hurt that she had moved on and given herself to another man, despite his countless pleas for intimacy. His sense of entitlement to her body and virginity made me feel even more disgusted. I left without even packing a bag. Everything was too much. I can't believe I spent 2 years loving a stalker, a man-child. I also reached out to Tracy and told her everything, including details about Mark's fake account. I don't know if she's seen my messages yet, but I hope she does. The jealousy I once felt for her has now turned into pity. No woman should have to go through what Mark did. Mark keeps asking to meet up and doesn't want to break up, but I'm just so exhausted. I hope you can heal from this, and you are truly lucky to have found out before the wedding. So many women discover something like this when it's way too late. Or like you, they find out before the wedding but still go through with it, thinking he loves me too. Marriage will make him forget. And they only talk through emails, so it's not that serious. They ignore the giant red flag and don't even dig deep enough to find out that he was also stalking her. I'm sorry you had to encounter something like this. It takes a lot of courage to follow your gut and walk away when marriage is imminent, as you did. You truly are exceptional and know your worth. I am so sorry. This really sucks. You should have your parents get your stuff, and you should stay as far away from Mark as you can. If he is capable of stalking Tracy, he is capable of stalking you. Make sure that there are security cameras at your parents' house, and you should block him. The only bright side is that you found this out before you married him. I'm thinking about leaving the US and going to another country. Social media are not for me, so it's harder for him to stalk me. I don't have anything of great value in Mark's house, except some clothes and makeup, so I don't care if he throws it away. If you need to leave the country, then leave. I've always thought that sometimes when a woman is in a different situation, such as in a DV situation or things of that nature, that if they had left the state or the country, maybe they would have been safe. Be safe from that creep, Mark. Do you look like her at all? Just curious. No, thankfully. Tracy is Asian while I'm white. Third update. I think this is my last update since I've already met up with Tracy and talked about everything that happened. We met at a cafe, and at first, I was really nervous because I wasn't sure how she'd react. Her reply to my invitation was simply, "Hi, let's talk over a cup of coffee." While I waited, I could feel myself sweating with nerves and a flood of emotions. When Tracy arrived, I finally understood why Mark was so obsessed with her. She's easily one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She looks pretty in photos, but in person, she's even more stunning. Tracy greeted me and asked if I'd be willing to go to her place to talk, since being out for too long tires her. We ordered coffee to go and the whole situation was super awkward. Here's what she told me. First, she apologized for being the reason I'm now single, though I assured her it wasn't her fault. Tracy said she had received a wedding invitation but wasn't interested in attending, since she's already in a happy relationship and there was no point in revisiting someone from her past. Since the story Tom and Mark told me made me curious, I asked her about staying friends with Mark, as it sounded like she wanted to stay close after the breakup, which didn't match her actions. Tracy looked uncomfortable but explained her side. She said she had genuinely been in love with Mark at first, describing him as protective, trustworthy, handsome, and kind, always showering her with gifts and trips. Things were sweet initially, but over time Mark began pressuring her for sex, so much that she would pretend to be sick just to avoid it. She just didn't want to sleep with him and had a gut feeling, a sixth sense, telling her not to. To avoid a situation, she used her parents' strong religious beliefs as a reason for not having sex, which eventually led to a fight and their breakup, a detail Mark conveniently never shared with me. 2 weeks after they split, they started talking again because Tracy felt she owed him, as he had helped her get a job at a prestigious company and had spent a lot on her, including a Rolex for her 18th birthday. Admittedly, it made me a bit mad since he never spent that kind of money on me. When Tracy found out Mark and I were dating, she was relieved. Finally, she had a reason to block him everywhere, as he'd still occasionally hint at them getting back together. I told her that, throughout my entire relationship with Mark, he would occasionally bring her up. Initially, it felt a bit weird, but I brushed it off because she was part of his past. I also mentioned Mark's numerous fake accounts, which she didn't believe at first until I showed her the ones I knew. It was creepy, as they all had female names, followers, and photos looking very real. Since her account is public, I suggested Tracy make it private. She created a new account using her Korean name and deactivated the old one. We ended up having a nice time and became friends. She's truly a sweet person, and I saw how her boyfriend treats her like a queen. I'm happy she found love and got rid of Mark. Last story. My boyfriend stole my necklace and gifted it to his sister. Original post. Serious advice needed because I am lost. I have been with my boyfriend, whom I'll call Adam, for almost a year now. I met him through my master's degree in the UK. When I was a sophomore in college, I had a long-term boyfriend whom I'll call Kyle, who took his own life. We were together for 3 years, and I would never wish the pain of losing someone like that on my worst enemy. When we started college, Kyle gifted me a locket with the word most engraved on the back. It was our thing. It meant he loved me most. Sappy, but it was ours. Since his passing, this locket has been my most valuable possession, and I never go anywhere without it. It is my last piece of Kyle. After finishing my degree and struggling through the entire time, I decided I needed to get out of the town where everything happened and chose to study for my master's degree in the UK, which is where I met Adam. He is the first person I've allowed myself to love since losing Kyle, and I have truly enjoyed our relationship up until now. But if what I suspect is true, I will never be able to forgive him. Adam has always been insecure about Kyle, often asking hypothetical questions like, if Kyle were still alive, would you be with him? And, what do you prefer about me over Kyle? I usually dodge these questions because I don't condone them and don't want to feed into his insecurities. We've had several conversations regarding Adam's negative comments about Kyle. He dislikes it when I post about Kyle on his birthday, death anniversary, or even when I have hard days. He views this as evidence that I don't love him and that I'm still hung up on Kyle. But no matter how many years pass or how much I love Adam, Kyle was my first love, and his life was tragically cut short. He was also my best friend, and I will mourn his life forever even if I have moved on romantically. Adam knows how much the necklace from Kyle means to me, and how devastated I've been for the last 2 weeks, frantically searching our apartment for it. One day, I took a shower and set the necklace in its usual spot. When I came out, it was gone. Adam swears he has no idea where it went and claims it must have fallen somewhere and gotten lost. I've been beside myself, spending nights in tears over losing it. Adam has a sister, whom I'll call Jane, who recently celebrated her 21st birthday. I'm in her private Snapchat story where she posted a picture of the beautiful locket that her big brother got her for a special day. It was the same locket. I know it because it has the same engraving on the back. I don't know how Adam explained that to Jane, but he must have come up with something. Jane and I are not particularly close, so this isn't something I feel I can casually confront her about. I also feel silly bringing it up to Adam in case I'm wrong, and I'm just going insane, looking for excuses because I was careless and lost it. I don't see where else Adam would have gotten this locket, as it was custom-made for me by a small business back in the States. The designer was local to Kyle and me, and her work has always been my favorite. Advice needed. How do I ask Adam about this? I'm sure he'll deny it either way, but this locket means the world to me. I need it back. Thanks. Can I ask, what are your thoughts on his red flag behaviors being jealous of a person who died prematurely? It seems like it didn't occur to you that those are massive red flags before the necklace theft. I have noticed there are red flags. I guess I have just excused them, as Adam is the first person I've found myself having those feelings for again. Also, we share an apartment. He is the name on the lease because he is from the UK and I'm from the States. I'm also a student, trying to scrape together enough money to go back home for a while. I know it's a stupid reason to stay in a disrespectful relationship, but this is a foreign country and I'm mostly alone here. It must be said, your boyfriend Adam is mentally unwell and needs to very quickly become your ex-boyfriend. I would suggest reaching out to Adam's sister and delicately explain the situation to her. If she's even remotely a good person, she will understand and hopefully return the locket. Do you have pictures of the locket? Or pictures of you wearing it? Are the pictures time-stamped? Gather all the evidence you can to prove that the locket is, in fact, yours. Important detail. Do not tell Adam that you are in communication with his sister. Once you get the locket back, cut ties with this man and get him out of your life. Kyle was obviously important to you, and you don't need to justify your grief to anyone. I speak from personal experience. I only have one personal item from my parents' passing, and if my partner stole it from me, that would be the fastest way to become an ex and be completely ejected from my life. I don't intend to stay with my boyfriend. I just need to figure out a way to make sure I get the necklace back. Now for the update. It's been almost 3 weeks since my original post, and I hadn't planned to update. But I've seen a few comments asking for one. A day or two after the initial post, I confronted Adam about the locket. He denied knowing what I was talking about, and accused me of being cold for suggesting he took it. When I asked for receipts or any proof that the locket he gave his sister wasn't mine, he got angry and stormed out of our apartment. Later that night, he returned and tried to gaslight me, claiming I was creating a problem out of nothing and insisting that the necklace he gave his sister didn't have any engraving. However, while he was away, I contacted his mom and told her I had misplaced my locket. I asked if it could have accidentally been taken home by Adam when he was visiting. She got back to me quickly, saying she found my necklace in Jane's gift pile, stashed in a corner. She promised to keep it in her room until she could return it to me, explaining that either she or Jane must have mistakenly put it there. Once I had confirmation from Adam's mom that she had my locket, I booked the cheapest flight home and arranged for her to give me a lift to the airport where she could return the necklace. The fact that I had enough doubt was a sign that this relationship was going nowhere. I just wanted my necklace back. I stayed with Adam until my flight, which was about a week ago. I let him and his mom drive me to the airport. Before leaving, I left a note for Adam, explaining that I was breaking up with him and that my friends would be by to collect my things. I took a leave of absence from university while I figure out where to stay when I get back to the UK, and contacted my landlord about taking my name off the lease. When Adam's mom gave me back my necklace at the airport, his reaction was priceless. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. He was furious, but couldn't show it in front of his mom. Jane hasn't even questioned the missing necklace, and it's been around 2 weeks now. She is rather spoiled, so I doubt she'll ever notice. I'm happy to report that I'm safe and back home, with the necklace from Kyle. I just got back from visiting his grave and telling him the entire story. even laughing about it. The whole experience reminded me that I need to hold higher standards for myself in relationships. Thank you all for your love and support.